The numbers are in after 5 weeks of the NFL season. Who's the top dog quarterback in the NFC West? Newsflash, Bo. The haters are furious.
Oh, are these numbers correct? It looks like it. And Michael Wilson joins the show to talk about Kyler, Marvin Harrison Jr., and finding his stride in the Cards offense. It's PHNX Cardinals now.
The boys are back in town, live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. We're winners this week, baby. As our friends at Bet365, the presenting sponsor of this fine, family-friendly program. Download the Bet365 app. Use the bonus code PHNX365 when you sign up. Choose your offer. Find out why. Not even for a moment. It's ordinary with our friends at Bet365. I'm Johnny Venerable. He's Brack in Studio K. Hey, Damon, Dawg behind the mic. Big Willie style. Michael Wilson joins us later in the show. Loaded here. Post-Cardinals dub against San Fran. Let's go.
Big time dub for the Arizona Cardinals. And you know it's going to be a huge show when Johnny is when he's singing out of the gates. I mean, you have the voice of an angel, but you also have that rock star qualities as well.
I appreciate that.
You know, so
it's the stage presence, Bo. You missed it when we did karaoke, but when he did You're Welcome by Maui and from Moana, of course. I mean, it was spiritual being in that building.
You know, when I was in grade school choir, they would tell me, Johnny, do less. And I would say, more, you want more, you got it. And that's how I live my life.
Yeah, you own it. You own the moment. You're going to own this moment today on this very program. And I'm glad that all of you have joined us. Jess, peace to you. Ozzy, Otis Driftwood, Owen, Trey, Jules Felix, Monty Ossenfort's Burner, Ken Weber. The entire crew is here, including Michael Wilson later on, to talk some ball. Mainly, hey, that franchise quarterback named Kyler Murray, who now has got a 2-3 team and some pretty impressive statistics for himself going into Week 6 against Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers.
Cardinals right now, I don't like this. Yucky. 5-point underdog at Green Bay. Yet they were a 7-point dog last week and won. Plus 200 with our friends at Bet365. You know what? A lot of people are telling me all week I need to take the Green Bay Packers on Friday's preview show, just based off of my rough luck with wins and losses, mostly losses this year. Like, that's fine. We'll get to Friday when we get to Friday. Like, I feel like I could tease up this line for the Cardinals in some way, shape, or form. Like, I like the Cardinals like teased up on Bet365, like -3, 3.5. And you're talking about significant plus money. Pepper in, a little K1, little MHJ, maybe a little Michael Wilson. I have a different feeling about this game. Like, I think the Cardinals sweated out a close game on Sunday. I know they did. We lived it with our friends at Gila during the watch party. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like they're going to be in control of this game Sunday. Just an odd Johnny Venerable feeling.
The opportunities there. And by the way, I mean, where I stand as far as my trust in the Johnny Venerable gut feeling, I don't know about that. That's a whole other gut meter.
What are you trying to say?
That we're gonna have to dive into, but that does seem a bit high to me. Like, as volatile as the Green Bay Packers have been this season at 3-2, albeit with Jordan Love being out since week 1. Love himself 5 picks, and then you have a Packers team who has just done the Washington Commanders kind of trajectory to success, beating up on bad teams. They've beat up on teams that have combined for 4-10 this season. So 5-point home favorites. We'll see. Can they put together and put forth their most consistent effort? I think that's what it's going to take for them to cover that spread and outright win this football game. And look, it's going to be a great matchup Kyler Murray's counterpart, Jordan Love, even though he throws interceptions, he's a playmaker, right? And an unbelievable first full season as a starter last year, and continues to show the ability to do this much of the same. But Kyler Murray has proven, since he returned to this team in Week 10, that with him in the lineup, the Arizona Cardinals have a chance against mostly anybody. Obviously you've got some outlier performances against Washington when they're not competitive. Last year you had a couple games, one against the Rams, the other against the 49ers, where it was tough sledding. But for the most part, they're in each and every game thanks to their franchise quarterback.
Yeah, speaking of their franchise quarterback, we're going to talk to Michael Wilson about Kyler Murray. I was talking to somebody close to the situation over the last 24 hours as it relates to, no, it was not you. I said close to the situation, not close adjacent. Not that, you're here to do a job, right? I'm talking about people on the inside. And in all seriousness, the mindset of this franchise right now when they go into games with Kyler Murray is they're going to be in every game. It's our argument, throughout the course of this offseason. You project the numbers. You saw where this team was picked in the hierarchy of their division. People like PFF and some other websites still projecting them to have a top pick, which we push back on. If Kyler Murray plays the entire season, for the most part, this narrative, I think, is just going to take care of itself. They're going to be in most every game. Maybe you'll get a Washington outlier where they're not in the game, and then you'll get a Rams outlier where they blow somebody out, right? But for the most part, games look like they did against Buffalo, now against San Francisco, where it's a one-possession game, in large part because of your franchise quarterback. But the difference is in 2024, he's growing with his young playmakers. He's only played, I was thinking about it, Bo, he's only played like less than a full season with Trey McBride. Like the first year Trey McBride was here, didn't play a lot. It was Zach Ertz's show. And then, of course, coming back from injury last year, now 5 weeks into this season. So think about it. Barely has played with Trey. Barely has played with Mike. Has never played with Marv up until, the start of this regular season. His most consistent guy he's been with has been James Conner since 2020, 2021. So I think about that, and I think about the growth that this team has. And then that the sample size, while it's small, is already so encouraging. I know a lot of people don't want to hear about stats like Patrick Mahomes, for instance, on Monday Night Football last night. They're 5-0. He's got 6 touchdown passes and 6 interceptions. But they have a culture and a foundation of winning and a Hall of Fame level head coach where nobody's criticizing Patrick Mahomes today. Everybody's like, well, winners win. Yeah. Kyler Murray is on pace right now to have just right around 30 touchdowns total and a combined rushing and passing like somewhere in the vicinity of like 4,400 yards. And that's with what people perceive as like a slow start to this offense. So I say all that, and it's like they've played one of the hardest schedules thus far, elite head coaches, sometimes elite defensive minds, and we have only just scratched the surface of what this team can be offensively.
Absolutely. And I think that's, you have to figure it out. Like, I think like the grace is going to wear off at some point. The last 3 weeks, it has been at times tough to watch offensively when the pieces that are there, even with Trey McBride not being in there and being down a couple of key pieces on the offensive line. But, when are they going to finally get in sync? When are they going to finally kind of hit their stride? And you would see like what you saw with the Rams game where he's putting up 3 touchdown passes in the game, because for the most part, it's been pretty consistently like you look at his game charts and it's like week 1 passing touchdown. Sure, you've got 3 in week 2 and then 1. He's had a passing touchdown each and every one of his games this season. And then you add a rushing touchdown. Like, is it like a slow build and they're going to finally take off? Or like, is this what we should expect? You're going to have some just consistent games and then a game where he's going to hit a kind of burst like he did against the Philadelphia Eagles last year. Cause that's what it was like. Week 10, it was like touchdown pass, maybe a rushing touchdown and some decent performances, and then finally would explode and then get back to kind of the norm. Really, I think that there's so much more room for improvement for this offense that they're able to kind of hold their head above water at 2-3, that they are in a decent position to figure it out and take off from this point forward. Instead of like where they were in previous years, they would come out hot, put up huge gaudy numbers, and we're saying, all these things about this team.
It's a great comparison.
And then they fall off a cliff. So it's a good time to like you trend in the right direction towards the right point in the season.
And I think, we got a graphic here coming up shortly that puts, I think, a lot of this in perspective as it relates to Kyler Murray and his NFC West peers, all of whom have been to the postseason more recently than Kyler Murray. Geno Smith, Brock Purdy, and of course, Matthew Stafford. And most of those quarterbacks, if not all of them, were ranked higher than Kyler Murray coming into the season, save for maybe Geno Smith, right? Like it was understood that Brock Purdy and Matthew Stafford are better than Kyler Murray. And people can still feel that way. That's fine. But I like this comment from our guy Shafe in the chat. Cardinals are averaging 24 points a game, and it really feels like we should be scoring more. It absolutely does. I mean, we're going to talk to Michael Wilson about this. We're going to talk to Mina Kimes and Brian Baldinger about this. Like, notice we're not spending too much time on the defense. Well, why? Because they're overachieving.
Yeah.
Because
those are the top doctors right there. Those are like they are here to crack the case from in the locker room to analysis to film breakdown. Like we got our top people on the case. And, I think that they'll probably find some pretty even ground as far as where to go. And I agree with Schaff. Like the 24 points per game is heavily supplemented by week 2 of this season because the last 3 weeks.
Absolutely. It's 17 points per game the last 3 weeks.
It's 13, 14. And then they just put up, they needed every single one of the 24 points to squeak out a victory on the road against the 49ers. But yeah, I mean, when you're seeing really kind of like 2 scoring drives a game, that's inexcusable. Like when it's, hey, you're finding the end zone twice and then that's it. Like you got to find some more consistency from this offense.
Well, think about what you just said and the fact that nobody is pleased with this offensive performance. And then you look at where the Cardinals stand in the NFC West, and then you look at Kyler Murray compared to his peers.
Mm-hmm.
So let's pull this up. We've got a tremendous graphic from producer Damon Dawg on the quarterback comparison 5 weeks into the NFL season in the NFC West. So Brock Purdy, Geno Smith, Matthew Stafford, all of whom have had their time in the sun more recently than Kyler Murray. Yet there's the total touchdowns across the board. Kyler Murray with more. As you just mentioned, he had the multi-touchdown passing game against LA. He's only had 1 passing touchdown since then. Now, Trey McBride dropped the touchdown. A lot goes into that. Only 2 interceptions by Kyler Murray. I don't think he has a fumble yet.
He did. He had the fumble.
I'm sorry, he has 1 fumble.
Yeah.
He's 1 fumble. Purdy with 4 picks. He was picked off twice by the Cardinals. Geno Smith, who keeps giving the ball away. And then Stafford especially has just been completely up and down. And is missing his key targets. The quarterback rating alone, first of all, Kyler Murray, we didn't put it on the graphic, has a higher QBR than all these other quarterbacks, by the way. So whether it's QBR or quarterback rating, whatever you want to cherry pick, Kyler Murray,
nerds. We got the QBR too.
We do. We love it. We speak every language. But then this is the one to me. The Cardinals are playing the NFC West, which we all agree has good teams. Like we know who the fraud Seahawks are playing. Like, we know who Purdy's lost to. He lost to Stafford and Kyler Murray. Like, Matthew Stafford probably has the biggest excuse on here. His team has fallen apart. And, I'm not going to shed a tear. Goodbye. I don't want to see the Rams again this year. But I think it goes to show you, people are so quick to judge the results of this young man. And then you put him up. It's like, I didn't know Stafford's numbers were that modest this year. I saw Purdy look terrible on Sunday. Geno Smith lost by 9 points at home to Malik Neighbors' less New York Giants. So it's like, is Kyler Murray as good as Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen today? No, he's not. And that's okay because he's the best quarterback in the NFC West. You play and compete against your division first and foremost to get where you want to be. It's the opposite of the Cliff years where it's like, how many games can we win out of the division and then hang on for dear life as we get taken to the woodshed November, December, and January by these 3 teams? And so just to kind of contextualize, I thought you brought up a great point, Bo. Kyler Murray has had MVP level performances and numbers to start seasons. It didn't matter because they're still finishing 2nd, 3rd, 4th in the NFC West at the end of the year. I think now this bodes as well as any when we can sit here and say They're not where they want to be. The offense is still a work in progress, and he's still putting up the best numbers, and they're undefeated in the NFC West.
Yeah, look, and by the way, Damon, Dawg, take a bow. That graphic was gorgeous.
It slaps.
It absolutely does. And this might be a little bit of this take might have a little heat on it, but
yeah,
that's how it's supposed to be.
Yes.
Right.
Agreed.
I mean, Kyler Murray's in the prime of his career. He's a former number 1 overall pick. And I know that he shares that graphic with another number 1 overall pick, but he's 36, 37 years old.
Yeah.
And Matthew Stafford, he's on the decline. And he's as you mentioned, like, he doesn't have his top weapons. You got a 2nd round pick who is basically out of the league in Geno Smith, and you got Mr. Irrelevant. Like, Kyler Murray needs to be the best quarterback in this division. And for him to be playing like that, and then also feeling like, hey, there's another gear here that he hasn't hit the clutch and put it into, that's exciting. But that can all be lip service. Kyler Murray has to, and the offense needs to figure it out and find that consistency, especially in the passing attack going forward.
I just feel like the Cardinals are in a unique position where if he can, knock on wood, stay healthy, and I know like the rushing yards compared to the passing yards, like probably need to even out a little bit. Like Kyler Murray, it'd be nice to get back to 220, 230 a game, and then mixing in 2 touchdowns from the air, and then if you get lucky, maybe 1 rushing touchdown, and mixing in about 30 to 40 yards on the ground. Like I think that's a consistent day for Kyler Murray.
Mm-hmm.
It's 3 total touchdowns and about 250 total yards from scrimmage. But I just, for the people that are sitting here and week after week, like I saw it upwards into like the 3rd quarter of Sunday's game, where they're like, Kyler is not the answer. When are you people going to see? He's too short. His decision-making is terrible. And it's just like, I can't humor those kind of people. Like, if you have a better option staring you in the face, by all means. But this podcast doesn't speak Quinn Ewers yet. Like this podcast is not here to enter.
Speak Quinn Ewers.
Yes, ever. Like,
not even if there's a fire.
No, never. I'll be like one of those like closed-minded people. Like, I will not speak Quinn Ewers. I won't.
Never, even if they're drafted. It'd be like the same if it's like Bo Nix this time last year. You will never speak Bo Nix, and you will never speak Bo Nix.
Drake May.
That's right.
Yeah.
I don't think there was anybody nationally that would have argued the mindset that the Cardinals had the worst roster in the division, like coming into this year. And he's putting up, if people still want to believe that, that's fine. Like, I think most people believe that the Rams, the Niners, and the Seahawks, at least defensively, have a better roster. Skilled players, I don't know, especially with the Rams guys being injured. But for Kyler Murray for Kyler Murray to do what he's doing with a universally panned team and roster and those kind of numbers, and he needs to be better at certain points of the game. They got to be more consistent. He knows all that. He wasn't content with how they performed on Sunday. They are so far away from a final product, and you got to be fired up with this schedule and these kind of results early on.
Yeah. When you're just basically stretching, you're just loosening up.
Yeah. That's what it feels like, honestly.
It does. And you hope like you don't get stuck in that mode, right? Like at some point you got to go play the game and you got to put up big time numbers. And, I think that's what you saw from the Rams last year. Like, can you be the 2024 version of the 2023 Rams? And I know it's sometimes you don't want to talk about them because they're a division rival, but they were a team that had zero expectations. We on this show even said they're probably going to be in the same conversation as the Cardinals throughout the season, top 10 drafting team. And they completely flipped that script, and they got consistent play from their quarterback, Matthew Stafford. He was the one that steadied all those waters, made it all possible for a breakout for a Puka, and obviously having, a guy in Cooper Kupp and given, so many different facets of that organization the ability to find itself throughout that year and to make some noise in the NFC, where the Arizona Cardinals can put themselves in the very same spot by hitching itself to its franchise quarterback and him continuing to be an ascending player, entering his prime and figuring it out in this new system that he's 13 games into. He's 13 games into playing under Drew Petzing. And, it's going to be key for him to continue to develop with his young playmakers. And if they do, I mean, it's going to put themselves in a position each and every week to win football games.
That's what it comes down to. Like, very rarely are you watching other franchises completely boat race opposing teams on NFL Sunday? Most of these games by competent organizations and franchise quarterbacks are still decided in the late in the fourth quarter. I look at that game on Monday Night Football like that. I think Dak Prescott's a B+ to A- quarterback on any given Sunday, and it took him until the final play to beat what I think is a fraudulent Steeler team, right? Like everybody loves, what's going on in Houston, right? And that was a grinded out win against Buffalo. Like that's what it mostly looks like in the NFL.
People always forget how rocky it was for the Patriots,
right?
To win. They were in so many nail biter ugly games,
yeah.
Right? I mean, it took years for Tom Brady to really find himself as one of the great passers in NFL history. Before that, he was a game manager to the highest degree, and he was able to kind of beat those accusations by getting better and better and improving each and every season. But yeah, I mean, there's you have to win ugly in this league. You have to find a way. And like for Kyler Murray on Sunday, like is a perfect example of that. Like the offense in the first half was moving the football, right? And then they made a horrid mistake, a field goal attempt turned into 6 the other way as well. But they didn't lose confidence. They knew, like, if they just continue to play that way, that they were going to be able to continue to move the football and put themselves in position for points. And they did. Like after the horrid first drive of the second half, they come out, they go field goal, touchdown, field goal. Game's over.
Yeah. Like I'm not going to sit here and speak about things I don't know. Like I don't know if Kyler Murray can ever win a Super Bowl. Like I'm hopeful, right? But like I think that'd be ridiculous to insinuate because he's never won a playoff game, right? And they've never won a division. Like, but I've seen Joe Flacco get hot, and I've seen a young, Aaron Rodgers. I've seen Eli Manning do it a couple times. Like I think it's possible with the right head coach quarterback combination. But here's what I do know emphatically, and I'll never change my mindset on this. No one can make me change my mind. Is that Kyler Murray is a winning quarterback, and there are levels to winning. And until you opt as an organization to say, okay, we feel like we've maxed out. It's like what, the Kansas City Chiefs did once upon a time. Like, okay, we've maxed out with Alex Smith, who, by the way, I think Kyler Murray is way more talented than Alex Smith. But humor me for a second. It's like, okay, we're going to take a Jalen Hurts in the second round if we're Philly and we got Carson Wentz and he can't stay healthy. We're going to take Mahomes to try to get us over that hump, and, the sky's the limit. Like, I think Kyler Murray can help this team win division titles, and then you get to the postseason, you let the chips fall where they may. Here's what I know that I don't want to live in the reality of are these franchises that are starting Will Levis, that are starting Gardner Minshew. Like, is that the kind of reality you want to live in? Or you want to live in a reality with a quarterback that I think with this head coach and this GM and this infrastructure can keep you in postseason contention every single year? And then you get to the playoffs and you roll the dice, right? So I think you can have your cake and eat it too with this. You can be a Kyler Murray like I am and defender and still say, like, he's got stuff to prove. He's got to prove he can stay healthy for 17 weeks, right? If he doesn't stay healthy, then we're having another conversation maybe next April and May. I don't want to have that conversation, but like I believe in Kyler Murray as a player, a person, and as a winner. And again, like I'm anxious to see him have a real chance at January success eventually under this regime with a roster that's built up, because we both agree, like this team has a ceiling. But I don't think Kyler Murray has a ceiling of what he can do in the regular season. I just don't.
Right. And like we don't know what he could look like in January. Right?
Yeah.
We just don't. And we want to find out. Obviously, you got to do some things in order to even get to that.
Got to earn it.
It's like what we feel like we already know about Dak. Like good regular season quarterback.
Yeah.
But when the lights get a little bit brighter in January, that he lacks the ability to make the play that's going to get his team to the next round of the playoffs, that's going to be able to survive in advance. One thing I'll say is we kind of wrap up the conversation as far as the division quarterbacks is like they all give their team a shot. Like and that's what makes the division so tough.
Right.
Like each and every team has a dude at quarterback that's going to consistently put you in a position to win games. And
there's no dumpster fire.
Right. There is no Bunny Will Levis game. There is no Derek Carr.
There's no Jacoby Brissett. I mean, every other division has at least one of those and has had one for feels like 10 years.
Yeah. was the Cards last year with Josh before Kyler came back. They're in a position. If you were to rank them, though, I mean, because I feel like things have kind of changed.
Let's put them back up one more time, Damon. Let's see that tremendous graphic. If I had to rank these quarterbacks for the rest of the year, like who would I not want to face? I think Stafford's number one because of the quarterback resume and his head coach and the fact that the Rams usually play better as the season goes on. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with it. I just, at his age, at this stage in his career, I don't think he can outright win a football game.
He also will get Kupp and Puka back. So.
If those guys come back, but like even if they come back though, Damon, like, are they going to stay back? Right? They feel like they've been kind of through the ringer the last year as far as just battling injuries. Like, I mean, I know like the arm talent, probably the best arm talent in the division. Yeah. I mean, I agree to an extent.
Who would you have?
It's kind of gross, but probably Geno Smith.
Well, he was going to be number two. Of all the quarterbacks, like I would want to face Brock Purdy of these three quarterbacks. Like what I saw on Sunday, like without Christian McCaffrey, it's just not the same player. Can we say that? Like he's a shell of himself.
Yeah.
He can have all the weapons. I mean, he had people open. I saw some screen captures from Niner fans that are losing their mind. He had Kittle wide open before the end of the half in the end zone. He had Kittle open at the end of the game before Jalen Thompson put him on the ground. And the Cardinals defense is young and it's only going to get better. Like Deebo Samuel is about 6 months away from being dealt. Do they regret the Ayuk trade or the contract? I know he just had a big day. Kittle's old. No McCaffrey. Trent Williams is old. Give me Brock Purdy every day, including Sunday. You don't have 23 wearing a Superman cape for you in the backfield. Yeah, I'll go Stafford, Geno, Brock Purdy in that order.
Send me all those tweets though. I'd love to see that. Just Niner fans
get me through these days, these dog days.
Look at these open receivers. Yeah.
This is why I wanted Trey Lance. This is why they didn't give Trey Lance a fair shot. Grant Cohen.
Geno is the closest thing. Geno is the closest thing to dual threat in the division that the Cardinals would face.
That's fair.
You know, and that's nightmare fuel right now for Cardinals defense. But for whatever reason, there's been a disconnect. Like he'll look like him and that offense won't go away. But you look at those stats and he just has 6 touchdown passes with all those yards. And like the game against the Lions, he passed for 35 touchdowns, and for whatever reason, he's been really good between the 20s, and that's fine. I mean, that's scary enough for me, but none of it. It's just like, oh, these guys are going to come and outright beat you right now.
We got more discussion right around the corner, including Hassan Reddick and who is set to start at right guard in place of Will Hernandez right around the corner here on PHNX Cardinals. But first, I want to tell you about our friends. We saw them on Sunday. It was a banner time. Gila River Resorts and Casinos Wild Horse Pass. First of all, our watch party has been off the chain. We've got more coming as early as this weekend. We're going to be there bright and early for a 10 a.m. kickoff against the Green Bay Packers. And I love the idea of early morning food and fun and beverages with our friends at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. I have no doubt when I get to the casino at, 8:45 on Sunday morning, the place is going to be packed. The vibes are going to be elite. That's because they've got 4,500 slots, live table games, catch the action at the largest Arizona sports book going. And again, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but toot. This is the kind of place where I bring my spouse. She's having a great time. I bring my buddies. We're having a great time. Watch parties, elite. The vibes last week, and we want to carry that over into this weekend and more. We're going to drop a link in the description. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details. Again, come check us out for our watch party. Sun's got watch parties right around the corner, and we got preseason basketball right around the corner. The regular season is going to be here. Outside of chilling with my guy, Bo Brock and Damon Dawg in studio, and with our friend, some of our other presenting sponsors, there's going to be no place I'd rather be than Gila River Resorts. So fortunate to have this partnership and, achieve legendary status today, Bo.
Absolutely. Love it. Join us out there. I saw Chase mention he wanted to come to the watch party, ended up in the hospital. Hope you're doing okay, my man. We wish nothing but the best for you.
Miss you, Chase.
That's right. We're having a little car trouble today. I'm actually wife had to drop me off today. Car's in the shop. Might be time to just go over to Sanderson Ford.
Smart.
Hang with our friends. Ron, get me into something nice. Give me something reliable. And of course, if any issues come up, I'm taking it right over to Sanderson Ford, service department. It's easy. And then I'll just have a nice little bite to eat at the Starline Diner, which is fantastic. They give back. They donate back to the desert, support St. Mary's Food Bank, Southwest Autism Resource Center, military assistance missions. So many going on with our friends over at Sanderson Ford. And also what they do best is getting you into the vehicle that you're going to love. Get deals on the 2024 Ford Bronco with 5.9% APR for 66 months, plus $2,000. Must be financed through Ford Motor Credit, OAC. Also help celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month with Dia de los Muertos inspired trunk or treat at Sanderson Ford. See dealership for details.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
There's that high school Spanish on full display.
Fluent speaker. Oh, yeah. It definitely deserved a Bo Brock smolder. Hold the line.
That's a man of culture right there. Hit that like. Michael Wilson right around the corner here. We're going for 350 likes today for your boys in black and red. So this is not Cardinal related. Maybe one day it will be. But we need to talk about this Hassan Reddick thing. Like I want to talk about it. It's this situation with the Jets. Well, first of all, we woke up to the news today. Woody Johnson went into Robert Saleh's office and fired him on the spot, and then would not allow him to see his coaches or his players. Was basically, hey, Robert, get a cardboard box, get your stuff, and get out.
Yeah.
And first of all, that scene, just picturing that, wild, right? And I know Mr. B, the late Mr. Bill Bidwell, did something similar to Don Coryell. So for everybody who hates on Michael Bidwell would never do that. The Cardinals don't fire coaches during season. So people want to compare dysfunction. Like Woody Johnson is in an island of his own dysfunction. The Jets have the longest postseason drought in the NFL dating back to, I think, 2008, 2009. I mean, it's a huge gap. So can we just acknowledge how dysfunctional the Jets are today?
And every day. I mean, it's just, I'm sure he took one of his Johnson & Johnson shampoo bottles and squirted in his eyes as well. It couldn't have been more disrespectful. I mean, treat the guy like he just was your head coach, the face of your franchise, as your 40-year-old quarterback came back from Achilles injury and had probably the worst quarterback room in the league along that time. It's Saul is highly respected throughout the league. I just saw Schefter tweet out, Kyle Shanahan's response to it. And it's just, it is so on brand. It's gross. And people like, there was a point in time where Bidwell was under fire for a long time, and he still has to do a lot to continue to generate goodwill for his ownership group and that part of the franchise. But by empowering Monty Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon and becoming more kind of hands-off, it's only done wonders for him. And then also letting a couple of these yahoos around the league, from like Carolina's owner to Woody Johnson, and what circus was on full display today.
I listened to, I sent this to you. So Dave Pasch, who's play-by-play guy for the Cardinals, does a great job. Has a podcast. He had Tom Rinaldi on, and Rinaldi's telling stories about meeting with JG and talking with JG during his time with Philadelphia, and how the relationships kind of carried over. And
hold on, like Rinaldi, anytime he's involved, like he starts to tug on the heartstrings, and
I know
you're normally at tears by the end of it.
Usually I just promote this podcast and this podcast only. It's worth a listen. Rinaldi and Pasch talking about JG and just the impact. So the story is, with regard to last week, Rinaldi tells the story. Gannon went up to Buda Baker in the locker room and basically was like, how should the messaging basically be perceived this week? Like, what do we need to do? Like, because you want to come out fire and brimstone after last weekend, but you also understand this is a slog of a 17-game season. You want to have the pulse of the room. Gannon has never been a yeller and a screamer. and has immense respect for his players. And then Rinaldi said that Budda Baker's messaging back to him was like, we trust you. We believe in you. You be you. Basically, like, do whatever you need to do. And then what happened this week? They played the game of the year. Their defense was unbelievable. Budda Baker blew up George Kittle. That led, Jesse Luketa to have the strip ball of Jordan Mason. Like, it could not be a difference in culture. And I can tell everybody this emphatically. I have this triple source. Michael Bidwell loves Jonathan Gannon. Michael Bidwell is committed to Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon. Like, so the relationship there could not be, we would have to endure, and I don't want this for anybody, multiple losing seasons and lost culture and lost locker room from Jonathan Gannon for him to be fired. Like, they are, we're disappointed with how last week went. And like, at no point was this show ever irresponsibly stating that like Gannon or Ossenfort were on the hot seat. If the hot seat is in Timbuktu compared to where we're located here in Arizona, Gannon, if they can just get over the hump, he is going to be here a long time. Michael Bidwell respects the hell out of him. And we've said this before on the show, Bo. Michael Bidwell felt lucky to secure both Ossenfort and especially Gannon, given the Cardinals' options and the pulse of the franchise when they hired him. And the fact that Gannon said, no, I'll commit to you. I believe in what you want to do long term. That says a lot, obviously, about his character.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And then the ability to kind of get a sense from one of the leaders in the locker room about what direction to go, to not just say, well, this is how I view this messaging is going to be delivered the best, and it's going to resonate with these guys after clearly whatever happened the previous week didn't work. So for them and for him to kind of collaborate and work in concert with, I'm sure, his coaching staff and then the players in the locker room, I think that's the right way to approach it. Because how often do we see NFL coaches lose locker rooms because they just try to draw a hard line in the sand and say it's my way or the highway? You guys had the opportunity to kind of get ready for this and you failed tremendously. There's so many coaches that try to kind of just take over and have like this dictator leadership style, where it just doesn't work with today's players. And when we talked to Andrew Sandeo a long time ago, like at the Super Bowl 2 years ago,
before the Cardinals had hired Gannon,
I said, what was going to be, and you might have asked him, I don't remember, probably me.
You did.
Yeah.
I'll give you credit.
What's going to make Jonathan Gannon a good head coach in this league? And he said his ability to relate to players. Yeah. But it doesn't mean be like Cliff and be a player's coach to a fault.
Be a buddy.
Be a pushover. And it clearly worked this time around. And it's not going to work every time. Sometimes you do have to be the hard ass coach and kind of choose somebody out.
So many good comments here. Drop a like on this video. The situation with the New York Jets, laughably bad. Obviously, the slums in San Francisco begging Kyle Shanahan to somehow get Robert Saleh to come back to coordinate their defense, but they need to take their big spoonful of Brandon Staley here in 2024. Like, Robert Saleh, supposedly, he's sitting out the rest of the year. He's going to go sit on a beach with his family. And say what you want. Like, the Jets defense was playing well. We've got a bite coming up here, Damon. Let me know when it's ready, because the Jets defense has been playing well without Hassan Reddick. And no matter what you think of this Hassan Reddick saga, Robert Saleh does not write the checks. Robert Saleh did not acquire Hassan Reddick, and he's not responsible for Hassan Reddick showing up or not showing up. He's responsible for getting the most out of the players that he has. And the Jets defense has been the only good part of the team.
Right.
So again, we've got a bite. Let me know when it's ready, Damon. We'll get to these super chats ahead of time here. This is from Johan Dotson 199. Wild week to turn NFC West within reach. I mean, it really does feel that way, as ridiculous as it is. Yeah. If the Seahawks lose to the 49ers on Thursday Night Football and the Cardinals beat the Packers, the Cardinals are in first place in the division.
That's crazy. I always love the name Johan Dotson. Of course, Johnny likes to refer to former Commanders first round pick in Eagles.
Now he's like irrelevant now.
Jahan Dotson. Yeah, he is. He's almost played himself out of the league.
Not irrelevant.
Johan is almost more relevant than Jahan.
That's true. We've made him relevant on this show. Hassan Reddick remains relevant for Arizona Cardinal fans. So Woody Johnson had to talk to reporters today about the state of the Jets being a dumpster fire. And of course, was asked about the acquired linebacker that the Jets traded for in the offseason for a 3rd-round pick. Here is Woody Johnson's answer as it relates to Hassan Reddick, who remains on a holdout. It's week 6, Bo. Woody Johnson says, quote, Hassan, get in your car, drive down 95 and come to the New York Jets, and we can meet you and give you an escort right into the building. Wow, gee, thanks so much, Woody. You'll fit right in. Love it here. Feel welcome and accomplish great things with us. This is the biggest clown show response I have seen. I saw that today. I was double checking Connor. I'm like, is this a fake tweet? Is this like Uncle Chaps in his prime? I couldn't believe this was actually said, but this is Woody Johnson. Then I went and found it. He said this to the media. Hassan Reddick, I'm just of the opinion, if he doesn't get traded, he is not playing football this year.
No, like Robert Saleh, hey, the bad man's gone. Come on down. Hey, water's perfect. Come on in. Like we're having a great time. Oh, my wife, she just left me. Don't worry about it. Things are gonna be great. We're gonna eat some SpaghettiOs. I'm gonna thaw some hot dogs in the sink.
Get the hungry man going.
Time. Bring your own beer. We're gonna have a great time. Come on over. It's going to be perfect. We'll put the game on. It's like, no, dude, that looks like the worst, most sad situation I've seen. Like, no, thank you. The only way I'm showing up is if you pay me. That's been the messaging the entire time.
It's like, hey, buddy, come on down and play, 11 games with us, and maybe we can talk contract after the season. Hassan Reddick is not playing football this year. Like, I think, like, save for if the Jets continue to lose and they blow it up, but like, they're like a week away from trading for Devontae Adams. They're going all in. So, like, they're not thinking about the future.
Isn't it very reminiscent of the 2022 Cardinals? It's like,
oh, no, easily. Where you can see the dysfunction happening toward a total teardown.
Just so the lack of self-awareness as a team and where they actually fit in. Like, like a lot of NFL analysts and prognosticators, we laughed at them this offseason as they put the Jets deeper, atop the AFC East.
They were like atop every standing, every position player standing.
It was unbelievable. There ain't no way. But like Woody Johnson's comments, though, to back up what you're saying, like that's the owner of the organization. He seems to have no clue that, like, if Joe Douglas went and traded away Hassan Reddick, and probably you take a net loss from their trade to Philly. Like Joe Douglas is already, like, his seat is incredibly hot right now.
He might get fired.
Yeah.
By doing that.
Yeah.
Like that. I couldn't even tell if he was like serious or like sarcastic with that comment. Like you can't talk to a player from another franchise while they're under contract, right? It's illegal. It's tampering. I would do everything I could if I'm Monty Ossenford and Jonathan Gannon to get a message to Reddick and his reps, to get a state of Reddick's mindset and say, Hassan, make it to this offseason and we will bring you back to Arizona. You can play for us. We have no pass rushers. We will pay you a premium. Come back. You'll do a physical in March and we'll get you under contract. Because I'm as much as I want to see number 43 in Arizona, I saw that today and I'm like, these people have lost their mind. Well, they've never had a mind to begin with, but this is over. Like this season, when you're firing Robert Saleh after 5 weeks of the NFL season, when the defense was the only calling card, and you're making these kind of comments public, it's one thing to say that like privately, like a dummy. To put that out there into the ether, you're basically telling Hassan Reddick, like, hey, buddy, we're gonna bleed you out. And Reddick, he's dug in. He's probably made too much money. He's probably like, Hassan Reddick, I only got to meet him, one time in Arizona. But he's a guy of very high moral character. He went to Temple. He was a super smart guy. He overcame adversity in Arizona. Like, he is not going to be guilted into anything by the clown show Woody Johnson and company, by this podunk regime. Like, he's probably just like, I'm going to get my body right this year. I'm going to take the year off, and then we're going to go from there. And you guys can eat a third-round pick for nothing. I mean, this whole thing, I saw that. Not to get off top. I know that's not Cardinal related, but I felt like it was kind of Cardinal adjacent.
Did you guys see this Nathaniel Hackett part of the story?
No.
Oh my God.
That part's pretty wild. That basically Nathaniel Hackett, like Saleh wanted to take away his play calling.
He wanted to fire him, potentially. He was considering firing him, supposedly, and then Nathaniel Hackett ended up, is he? I guess he's not. No, they picked their defensive coordinator to be the interim head coach, but
Hackett's not gone. He's still
Hackett's still there. They were going to fire Hackett, and then instead Saleh got fired. Like, it sounds to me like Aaron Rodgers is making that call. I don't know about you guys, but like he's making sure his guy doesn't get fired if that's what it takes.
Yeah, as the Reddick train turns. But who knows? I mean, we get closer to the trade deadline. The Cardinals beat the Jets. I would love to see the Jets just go on like a 5-game losing streak and just become completely irrelevant. Let's talk about something a little bit more relevant to the Arizona Cardinals. Bo, you tweeted this out. The Arizona Cardinals appear to have, at least for a week, settled on a replacement for the injured Will Hernandez at right guard. What more can you tell us?
Yeah, if you take a look at the Arizona Cardinals' most recent depth chart, and it's what we kind of alluded to yesterday, just based off what they did post Hernandez injury in the game on Sunday, Tristan Colon, the veteran, jumped right in there, and he is atop the depth chart at right guard. And behind him, Johnny, nobody. There's nobody at the right guard spot. But Gannon did say yesterday that guys like John Gaines and Isaiah Adams will compete. You got Isaiah Adams maybe just as the backup to Evan Brown. Could he play both interior the guard spots potentially? I think absolutely, and I think he's going to be in the mix. And it could look a little bit like your left guard position last year, where they were playing a couple different guys in the same game, and just ride the hot hand. They did sign from the practice squad Charlie Heck as depth at the tackle position. He's going to be your primary kind of swing tackle now with the injuries to the offensive line. So he'll back up both Kelvin Beachum and Paris Johnson Jr. Good
insight there. And again, love to see, progress from Isaiah Adams. And when they feel like he's ready to contribute, he'll be out there. Tristan Colon, though, can you just steady the ship? Can you be a solid contributor? Remains to be seen. But again, have more on the injury front as the week progresses here, Bo. Let's get to some of these super chats. If we could, Ghost of Pat Tilley, $20. Wow. Bo, can we please get Michael Carter back? First of all, Pat Tilley, thank you so much for the super chat on that level. We're big advocates for Michael Carter. Connor did it all and can't take the load he did Sunday, and Benson's not there yet. Well, I'm with you. I do think like they need a spark. They need that electricity from sideline to sideline, that elusiveness that Michael Carter has. And yeah, James Conner is a tremendous player, but you're asking for trouble, Ghost. I think we agree on this. If you go to the well too much.
It's such a strange situation to me, to how much of a spark that Carter did provide last year and had a full-on role in this offense. And then that role is just gone. Like, I understand that you got Benson on the roster. Like, couldn't you just elevate Carter and then make Benson, if you don't feel confident in him right now, not inactive on game days, so your running back room would look pretty similar? Or do they feel like that would be too crushing to his confidence?
No, I mean, I just feel like at the end of the day, you just play your players that are going to help you right now. And if guys aren't ready, they're not ready. Like, I love Trey Benson. I think he does a lot of the same things that James Conner does, though. And I think Trey Benson, unlike Michael Carter, like James having 9 yards at half, but then finish for over 80 yards. I think that's kind of Trey Benson. Trey Benson is a volume rhythm carrier, ball carrier, like he was at Florida State, where it's like 1 yard, 2 yards, 3 yards, boom, 20 yards, right? But that's not the compliment that we need for James Conner. You're not going to get rhythm carries like that. Whereas Michael Carter off the street, out of the Jets, we saved him from the Jets' dysfunction to the Arizona Cardinals, can come in and sparingly in about 5 to 7 touches can get you first downs. It's like a guy coming in throwing, 100 miles an hour out of your bullpen for the Arizona Diamondbacks, coming in, giving you gas. You're not going to give Michael Carter 30-plus carries a game, but right. I just think he's better equipped to complement James Conner, whereas I think Trey Benson is the eventual heir apparent to what James Conner does, if that makes sense.
Let's go to our guy. Who is this? Is it Casey? Yeah, Casey, concerned at all over K1's deep ball accuracy. The bad overthrow of Michael Wilson after he ran a beautiful route hurt. Lucky MHJ came in clutch on 4th. Yeah, I mean, I think until they start to hit on it more consistently, like relative to deep balls.
Yeah,
I mean, it is going to continue to be part of the game that was once there for Kyler Murray that we haven't seen consistently since 2021. So that is something that you would like to see take shape down the line here. How about Baharo 3? More Kyler Murray talk here. K1, 176 yards per game outside of the Rams game. That game boosted by 2 insane scramble throws. K1's great rushing is carrying the offense. Petzing pass offense is below average.
Drew Petzing needs to evolve with the weapons that the Cardinals have. And I feel like this is the first time maybe in his tenure as a coach, certainly as a play caller. He didn't have this last year where you have so many tools in your toolbox. I mean, the Cardinals, I understand you want to be a run-dominant team, but even Kyle Shanahan, when they want to be a run-dominant team, but when you have all those weapons, you got to throw the ball vertically. He'll figure it out because you know what? They're too talented to keep putting up these kind of uneven games offensively. I know I sound like a broken record every week. They're close. They're close. They're close. They're closer than they have been. Kyler Murray has the reputation of a great deep ball thrower. They're going to figure it out. But again, it's like we talked about at the top of the show, Bo. These are young players. They haven't played together very much. D-Hop was a seasoned veteran Pro Bowl player who had cooked this league for 5-7 years before he came to Arizona, and it was seamless, right? Zach Ertz, AJ Green. Kyler Murray is helping to mold these young players, and it just takes time.
Let's keep it going here with the super chats. We'll talk to Michael Wilson about this offense and its struggles. How about Gager jumping in here? Tell Wilson I love him. I'm going to Monday Night Football. Can't wait to have Monday Night Football here in the desert on ESPN Plus. That's a week from next Monday. It's gonna be awesome.
Love that. How about our guy Yanks 499? Kyler might have the most manipulated narrative out of any quarterback in the league. I don't feel like he's talked about right now, no matter how he plays. Yanks, I agree 100%. The only thing that's going to fix that, they got to win games. They got to get to the playoffs. He's got to make his presence known. Then they'll be on national TV. It'll change, but can't just be about stats. But I mean, they put themselves in a position to be viable this year. Let's hope he can keep it going. We're going to keep it going with our guy, Michael Wilson, right around the corner here on PHNX Cardinals. But first, of course, we teased it at the top of the show. I hope you're making money with our friends at Bet365. Cardinals money line this weekend is going to pay out plus 200. How about some boosted bets with that? How about a bet and get offer of $5 or more, get you $200 in bonus bets? Right now, signing up with the Bet365 app, 90 million users worldwide. We got NBA preseason action if you're a big-time sicko like us, NFL, NHL right around the corner, and of course, Major League Baseball postseason play. Mets and Phillies in-game betting. They pioneered it, did Bet365. Take advantage right now. Use the bonus code PHNX365 when you sign up. Find out why it's never ordinary. How about this? First bet safety net up to $1,000. All you got to do, deposit $10. Okay. If you want to bet up to $1,000, you're going to get that matched in bonus bets for your first bet. No questions asked. The only question I have for you, what are you waiting for? Download the Bet365 app today. Use the bonus code PHNX365 when you sign up. Choose your offer. Find out why, not even for a moment, it's ordinary with Bet365. You got to be 21 years and older, physically located in the great state of Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. Text NEXT STEP to 53342 or visit problemgambling.az.gov for more information.
Let's talk about game time. Monday Night Football. You want to get in the door? State Farm Stadium, October 21st. Well, you can get it in for right now, $24. Game time. Use the code PHNX. You're just paying $4 to get in the game. And they're not going to overload you with any silly post-purchase fees or anything like that. And also, it's a big week here in the Valley of the Sun. How about you got the Phoenix Suns preseason action? You can get in downtown Phoenix for $4. Or you could go see ASU take on Utah Friday night, $25. There in Tempe. Lots of great options right now. All you have to do is download the Game Time app right now for free in the App Store, and you can start to save some money and get the best guaranteed deals on tickets. They take the guesswork out buying tickets on Game Time. It's not just tickets to the game, it's parking passes as well that you can get at dirt cheap prices. Check it out. Download Game Time app today. Create an account. Use the code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create that account. Redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time.
Love our friends at Game Time. Love the number 18 collection. Shop it now. New releases like the MHJT. My son keeps asking me, when can I get a number 18 jersey? And I said, you can't have any of that right now. And it may be a while, but this can be at your doorstep in just a few days. Shop the number 18 collection. That includes the Maserati Marv T. How about the math? 1 + 18 = 6. That's happened 4 times this year and counting. Would love for that to be repped at Lambeau Field if you're in the area come Sunday morning. And then, of course, the coup de grace, the cherry on top, our favorite tee here, the MHJ celebratory t-shirt. The number 18 collection is available for you now. And again, if you become a diehard at gophnx.com, they can be free. Your first t-shirt, your first piece of merch is free by becoming a diehard. I'm going to tell you right now, all access to gophnx.com, exclusive entrance to the PHNX member Discord, includes the Cardinal locker, which is off the chain, and of course, 20% off on the merchandise locker moving forward. Shop the number 18 collection today. You will not be sorry that you did. Now, friend of the program, part of the program, Arizona Cardinal wide receiver Michael Wilson. This segment brought to you by our friends at Branded Bills. Elevate your brand with Branded Bills, the perfect headwear and apparel. Use the bonus code PHNX for 20% off your first purchase. Mike, you get the dub on Sunday against bitter rival San Francisco. You have your best game of the season. Walk us through the environment with the Arizona Cardinals post-game. What was that like, and what's the mood now entering week 6?
Yeah, it was ecstatic. I think anytime you can get a divisional win is major props to you and your franchise. And obviously coming off the abysmal loss against the Commanders, we knew that this was a must-win game for our organization, for our team. So it was a lot of celebration. Truthfully, I'm still pretty excited about it, and I kind of need to subdue my emotion and flip the page and get ready for Green Bay. But I think anytime you can get a win, especially against a really good team like that, you kind of savor it for a little bit. But yeah, we're super excited going forward. I think that, like, obviously the NFL, it's a 17-week season. Like every week is its own, every game is its own week. It's its own preparation. So our process has to be like, tomorrow we got to flip the page and go into Green Bay and reset everything, reset our mind, and kind of truthfully just forget about the win. But coming off a win feels a lot better than coming off a loss. Like last week, the tensions were a little bit up. Guys were just a little bit more pissed off, and I'm sure they will be this week. But nothing's got to change about our process. I think we had a great week of practice last week. Got to just capitalize on the momentum we have and the confidence that we've earned back. I think we earned our confidence back with this win and kind of reestablished our identity as a football team and know that we can be a really good team and beat some of the top teams in the league. And we are a top team in the league.
It really,
yeah.
I apologize, man. It really puts things in perspective, though. It's like, hey, the Washington loss just counts as one, just like all of them, right? And it's like you guys were able to refocus, and JG had mentioned like the preparation, as you were pointing out, win or loss, like you guys were putting in the work last week, and he felt confident going in this game. But I want to backtrack a little bit. We talk about post-game locker room, going into the locker room at halftime. I mean, that game was not going your guys' way. You had the kick blocked. It was returned for the touchdown. Kyler had the interception before the end of the half. Like, where was it? What do you think you guys did to come out of the gates in the second half and really kind of put on that comeback?
Yeah, I think we just kept our energy up, and like as bad as it was, I still feel like we couldn't be stopped on offense. We would have got 3 points with a blocked field goal. And then the interception, we were basically in the red zone or on the fringe of getting into the red zone. So that could have been either a 10-point or 6-point swing. But I knew, and we all knew that, like, we couldn't hang our heads. And I think last week, what we learned from last week is I think our energy just as a team wasn't as good as it was this week. And that was an emphasis going into this week is regardless of what the result is at the time, like don't drop your energy. And that was a big emphasis for me personally too, is after we didn't get that 4th down against the Commanders in the week prior, like you could just feel the fans, you could feel the team, like everything in that stadium just kind of was shrunken and seemed like we were out of life. But I think that was a good testament to our ability to learn and adapt, throughout the season. Is regardless of what the score is, the NFL shows and the statistics show you're never out of the game as long as you fight. And that's what we did as a team. So I'm really proud of us.
Mike, in the past, like we as a group, we've talked about your maturation process with Kyler Murray. And the reason I'm bringing this up is, last year in Philadelphia, you talked about it, like the miscommunication, right? And now I look at your communication and the confidence level and the trust between the both of you. And, I look at, like, we look up after Sunday and you catch 5 or 6 passes, right? And there's a consistency there. And then you look on the opposite end, just like you last year, and there's Marvin Harrison Jr. And it's clear he and Kyler Murray are still working through some of those hiccups that come with being not only a newbie, but you've got a new quarterback. Talk to me about that and your support for Marvin as it relates to you being in that same spot last year.
For sure. Yeah, I think it's tough. I think, like I said, Kyler plays the game at a really high level, and he's probably going to throw you balls that most quarterbacks wouldn't throw because he trusts you and believes in your ability. And after Hollywood got hurt, I was playing the X position, and that's what Marvin plays now. And normally when you're the X receiver, you get a lot more one-on-one, man-to-man coverage balls, a lot of backside fades. And those typically are lower percentage completion passes than you're a Z receiver. As a Z receiver, you're mainly responsible for, you're the point of attack on most run plays, which the X doesn't have as much responsibility in the run game. Most of your passes, or a lot of them, will come against zone coverage. So I feel that the position he's playing, like his target to catch percentage is not going to be like 85% because he's going to get a lot of one-on-one 50-50 balls, as you've seen throughout the course of the season. He's done a really good job of making some incredible catches, and he's going to continue to do so. But I think as Marvin continues to get more comfortable in the NFL game, and they obviously continue to just build more reps, I think you'll see that number start to be, 5 catches on 7 targets, 6 catches on 9 targets, like closer. It's just going to take time because as a rookie, like there's a lot that's like you haven't fully arrived, and no player in the NFL has arrived, but you definitely have a lot going on your plate. And I think each game, how I've known, like being around Marvin, I could tell he's getting more comfortable game in and game out, more confident in the system, in his relationship with Kyler. But I think one of these games we're going to see like 10 for 11, 170 yards. Like I know at some point that game is coming. I can't tell you when, but at some point it's going to come.
5 catches on 6 targets for 78 yards to lead the team, like our guy Mike Willie. And I was just watching, the mic'd up that the team did for Michael Wilson. It's live. Cool. And like you talk about, remaining confident. I mean, you're sitting there, you're telling Marv on the sideline, it's coming. Yeah. So much to take away from that. But, you told me last year, like you felt that your play would impact Kyler's legacy. Do you feel similar with Marv? Because I mean, Marv has a similar, like, I don't know what you say, like aura, but like this is the 4th overall pick. You have your own career, but do you feel like you have some role as far as the success of Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think my role plays as big of a part as it does in Kyler's role, because my success our successes are dependent on each other. If I perform well, then obviously that looks good for Kyler and vice versa. I feel a little bit of responsibility as a teammate and as a receiver and just a friend of Marvin to constantly give him support and remind him a lot that he is, a top receiver in the game and was drafted 4th overall for a reason. And I think I wanted to make an emphasis this game and going through the season that to, give him tidbits and give him constant reminders that, he is that guy. And as a receiver, it can be tough. I think at that point, he caught his first target or a second one for an explosive on the fade ball. That was a great catch. And I think him and Kyler missed on the next 3 or 4. And I could tell he was getting a little bit frustrated because he has a high standard of performance for himself, like one of the highest I've ever been around. And much like myself, he wants to catch every single ball that's thrown his way. And I felt responsibility as an older player and as a brother of his to just remind him, because confidence, the best athletes in the world, we all go through a little bit of ebbs and flows with confidence. If you're playing really well, the game is really easy. And if you're not playing well, or they've thrown you some balls and you haven't connected, it can be frustrating at times, because that's our job as receivers. We're judged on how well we can catch the football and how many times we can make the play when the ball comes our way. But I guess to sort of make it short, I do feel responsible for just being a really supportive receiver and doing the best I can to keep reminding him and instilling confidence in him throughout games when things don't go well or aren't going as well. But yeah, because also not only do I love Marvin the player, but the person is really special too, and I do care about him as an individual. And as special as he is as a person or as a player, he's more special as a person, getting to know him, especially with all the success he's had. You think he'd have, a blown up ego. He's one of the most down to earth people you meet in your life.
Mike, I'm not going to do the thing that everybody does where, hey, are you guys where you want to be offensively, right? Like we're 5 games into this. Yeah. However, I think selfishly, this podcast, this media market, we looked at this offense as, hey, that's the strength of the team this year. Michael and Marvin and Trey and James and Kyler and Greg, putting up points early and often. And then we saw output.
We got Zay coming back this week.
And Zay Jones this week, right? I mean, it's loaded. You guys got, it's an embarrassment of riches, especially young talent. And I include you in that. Through 2 weeks, Buffalo, 28 points, and the LA game, you guys were over 40 points in that game. Over the last 3 weeks, it's been a little bit more hit and miss, 17 points per game. Obviously, it looked like on Sunday against San Fran, there were signs of it coming kind of into its own. What's the messaging, I guess, from offensive coordinator Drew Petzing to get you guys to where you want to be offensively? Because I got to imagine, knowing the talent in that room, you guys aren't content with what you're doing offensively yet.
Yeah, just execution, just being better. The small things. I think the little things have been getting us in the Detroit game and the Commanders game. The little things have been leading to big things, and focusing more on alignment, assignment, key tech, the small things that probably to the untrained or the average fan probably won't understand. But to us, the high level, it makes a big difference. And just focusing on those small things, I think, will pay dividends. But also too, we did play against some really good defenses. Detroit they got a really good defense. The Commanders are obviously a good outfit, good team all the way around. And the Niners obviously have one of the most talented defenses in all of the National Football League. So I feel like we're at a good spot right now. But like I said, with the talent that we have, we want to put up 30 plus a game. But yeah, execution. That's what I'm gonna keep. That's my answer. Execution of the little things, and that'll show up big time on the scoreboard and on the tape as well.
You guys are elite on opening drives, man. 5 for 5. It's unbelievable. And the latest one, and as I mentioned, the mic'd up thing, there you are following your quarterback downfield. He's tough to keep up with when he's running 22 miles per hour.
Yeah.
That play.
I know, crazy. Our JG said in the meeting room, if you throw up a peace sign, 5 yards from the line of scrimmage, you better be the fastest human on the earth. But that just goes to show how good of an athlete Kyler is and the confidence that he has in his speed, because there's only a couple players in the NFL that are confident enough and have the conviction to throw up that peace sign when you're even with somebody. That was pretty special to see.
So Kyler uses his legs this week, and that's a big kind of talking point within the national media, the landscape of well, Kyler Murray has to be able to run for the Cardinals offense to work. But then I push back and like, I've seen him sit in the pocket and throw darts for over 300 yards. Like, do you think this offense just benefits from the fact that you guys, when you're humming, can beat teams a lot of different ways?
For sure. Yeah. I think that just goes to show how versatile Kyler is and why I believe he's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL is because he can beat you in a multitude of ways. He can throw on time like the best quarterbacks in the league can, like Matthew Stafford, Aaron Rodgers. He's got great extension of the play like other top quarterbacks and Mahomes, Lamar. And then also he can beat you with his legs and is as good as probably anyone in the league at doing it when he's healthy, and he is right now. So I think Kyler, from a defensive standpoint, from a defense perspective, I feel like he would be extremely hard to game plan for, especially when he's playing at a high level. I think when Kyler's playing at his best, I think his best is probably like best in the NFL when he's playing confident, when the pass game's on, when he's using his legs to extend plays, and when he's throwing on time. Like he's got so much talent. It's just a matter of can the guys around him also play at a high level and, help, like I said, help play a part in his legacy and making the game easier for him.
What do you think's next for you? You seem like back-to-back great performances for yourself.
Yeah.
As we mentioned, led the team in receiving yards. Good game against the Commanders as well. We need you to find the end zone again. You're week 1. You were the opening tutty of the season for the Cardinals. I see Marv doing a ball spin on his last touchdown. I'm like, Mike Wilson's elite. That one's pretty good.
Yeah.
What's next for you in your game?
Next for me, I think honestly, next for me is just really just being consistent. I felt like this game is the type of game I want to be consistently known as a guy that every time you throw me the ball, you can have confidence I'm going to come down with it. And I'm going to block my ass off. I'm going to play hard for my team. I'm going to make tough catches. And then in critical situations, I can earn enough confidence from the coaching staff to call plays for me on 3rd down or on 4th down. Like I could be a sure hands go-to guy and just doing it at a consistent level. That's sort of the next step for me, I think, is just being able to show up game to game to game to game, not have like a sporadic game where 1 out of every 3 games I have, 70, 78 yards. I wanted that to be consistent. I know sometimes that's not a reality for a receiver because a lot of your success isn't solely dependent on you, but just be a guy that can show up consistently on the stat sheet and on tape as someone that's doing their job at a high level, making tough catches, and contributing to the team in a positive way.
Mike, we had a chance to chat with you last year. I mean, it was a transition year for you, this entire franchise. You didn't have your franchise quarterback until late in the season. You fast forward to now. I know you guys may or may not be where you want to be record-wise, a very competitive 2-3, but you are 2-0 against the NFC West, a team, a division that you guys went 0-6 against last year. I mean, talk to me about the confidence boost now and very much living. I know it's game to game, week to week, but living in that mindset of we're viable right now in 2024. I mean, we had Mina Kimes on the show earlier stating like the rebuild is over for the Arizona Cardinals. Like, do you guys feel that way?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, anytime you play like as a rookie last year going into games, I never had the perception that this was a rebuild. Like we were trying to win every game. But obviously, in hindsight, looking back, like I think it was a lot. The odds were stacked against us more last year than they were this year because of quarterback play. And now we have a healthy Kyler Murray with the entire offseason, plus a returning coaching staff. But yeah, there's absolutely no excuses for our organization and for why we can't win now because we have everything that we need to win. But touching on, you talked about confidence going into games. I think confidence is earned. And I think last week we all were a little bit shocked of what happened because I think our team is way too talented to lose in the fashion that we did against the Commanders. But that's, I think JG's he gave a speech that really resonated with, I think, our whole organization at team meeting, or it was either post practice, and he said, I'm sure in your guys' career too, there's been moments where you probably loved what you said on the show and other moments where you haven't. And just like games, like I've had great games, I've had bad games. And after bad games, your confidence can tend to dip a little bit more, but the only way you can get it back is to act. And through the act comes dialing up your process. And I feel like our process last week was amazing because everyone felt a sense of urgency to sort of regain our confidence in our team, confidence from our fan base, confidence from our coaching staff in the players, confidence from the players in the coaching staff. Like, there was just a great sense of urgency, and it came from our process. I keep talking about process, but that's what wins games, is having a detailed, dialed-in process. And it feels a lot better that we won this week, going into the week. But we have to keep that same sense of urgency in detailing our process, so that way we can play fast and play with confidence going into the Green Bay game.
Quickly, Mike, last 2 training camps I've been to, there have been 2 players that have stood out to me and were undeniable from a rookie class standpoint. I'm going to put Marvin in his own category. Yeah. So last year it was you, and we talked about you ad nauseum on our show. You have to watch number 14. He looks fantastic. This training camp, there was a certain defensive lineman from Missouri that you guys may or may not get back this week in Darius Robinson. So Darius Robinson, first-round pick out of the SEC, has a tremendous training camp with you guys, goes down with a hammy. Now it looks like he could be back at any moment's time. Like, talk to me about that infusion of talent and disruption for your defensive line with a guy of that caliber, because his skill set is immense.
For sure, yeah. We don't, like, it's hard for me to evaluate guys, especially like D-line and offensive linemen, because we just don't watch those guys on tape. But talking to, Beachum, Paris, Will, like our offensive linemen, and I hate to say this about him or put that type of pressure on him, but they've all said that he has the ability to be a All-Pro or a Pro Bowler at some point in the next 3 years. Like, that's how talented he is. And every time you talk to O-linemen about him, or our running backs about him, like, their eyes light up and say, yeah, like, that boy's for real. So I think anytime you can get a premier pass rusher and run defender back in your defense, like, it's going to help a lot, because ultimately receivers and skill positions are great. The people that win and lose games, it all starts in the trenches. So to get a premier guy like that back is going to be massive for our organization.
Let's get out of here on maybe off the field. The reverse troll from Kyler Murray to turn the criticism he takes for Call of Duty, playing Call of Duty, and turning it into, as he called, a bag. Yeah. Your thoughts on your quarterback, just his finesse off the field?
It's amazing. I think he's done a really good job this year of showing fans who he really is and taking media into his own hands and showing the side of him that he wants people to see, which is a really amazing and special person. So I'm happy for him that he was able to, something good was able to come from all that hate he was getting a couple of years ago.
No doubt about it. Speaking of kind of doing his own media thing, it's our guy Michael Wilson doing it here with us at PHNX Cardinals. He's telling us, giving us great answers throughout. Just did 20 minutes, my man. So thankful for it. Can't wait to catch up with you again. Hopefully it's falling off a big dub, going to historic Lambeau Field. You got to be excited to go play there.
Yeah, it's going to be a special one. You got to win, though. That's all. The only thing that matters. You got to win.
You guys have been a lot of fun to watch this year. Continued success, my guy. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Big thanks to our guy, Michael Wilson. Big thanks to our presenting sponsors, Branded Bills, Bo Brock, Johnny Venerable. What a lineup we have this week post a big Cardinal dub. Unbelievable. Tomorrow, we're going to talk to Mina Kimes. We are. We're going to talk to Mina. We got Brian Baldinger on the schedule later this week. And we got Craig Morgan en route to Wisconsin to cover this team. Craigers on the road, 2 for 2, we're hoping. Craig's our lucky charm here.
Yeah, we're going to get him some baby aspirin because he's going to consume so much cheese. We want to make sure he's healthy and, it doesn't clog up those arteries. But look, great stuff today. Great stuff, obviously, in the hopper for PHNX Cardinals. Make sure you subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Like this video. What was the like? What do we want to hit? 300, 400?
I think 350 is the baseline for your boys. And that includes Michael Wilson. Michael told me personally he'd be disappointed if we didn't have at least 350 likes. So go ahead and drop a like on this video. For Brack, Damon, Dawg, Michael Wilson, I'm Johnny Venerable. We're back on a Wednesday. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.